What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Hood Soft Life podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina, and in this podcast, we talk about navigating the challenges that come with growing up in the hood and leaving those challenges behind for a soft life. Growing up in the hood has its own set of challenges, but what people don't tend to tell you is not only do those challenges follow you once you've made it out physically, but they tend to intensify. So, I'm bringing you along on my journey. I'm going to be honest with you about the struggles and the lessons that I'm going through to achieve a soft life. Now that we've gotten the intro out the way, happy Black History Month, everybody. I have been very slow in my movement to post stuff about Black History Month, but it will be out there. I have some stuff that I want to release for this month, and so I've kind of just been holding off on that, but I do want to say that happy Black History Month to all my people from the African diaspora, and I'm really excited about today's episode because I will be talking about relationships. More specifically, the independent woman versus their ideal partner. How poverty and being a woman of color forces us to rely on our masculine energy and how that affects our love lives. We have Valentine's Day coming around the corner. It's Black History Month. Give some love to your Black people this month and every month. But we're going to go ahead and get started. Before we go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of today's conversation, I want to talk about a couple of definitions that I have, just so that you have an idea of what I'm going to be talking about. So the three ones that I want to focus on for today are masculine and feminine energy, as well as the independent Black woman theology. I figured it would be important for me to talk about that right at the beginning so that everybody has an understanding of what I'm talking about. So, masculine energy versus feminine energy, what are they? Masculine energy is associated with working hard, being the provider, not necessarily being emotionally available, and it's associated with a hardness. Masculine energy is logical, direct, conquering, moment by moment, firm, or robust. Feminine energy is emotionally available, and the counterpart to the provider, associated with a softness. Feminine energy is creative, fluid, nurturing, refined, continual, and gentle. Now, we all have a balance of both energies within ourselves. You might know a man who's extremely nurturing. You might know a woman who's extremely logical and direct. That's not to say that they're automatically in the counterparts of the energy that's associated with their identity. What I'm talking about specifically in today's episode is women of color being forcibly removed from their feminine energy, their femininity, and being put into a category, the masculine energy that they did not sign up for, that does not coincide with their identity. That's more of what I'm going to be talking about in today's episode. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, I also want to take a moment to talk about what does it mean when I'm referring to a strong, independent Black woman. Oftentimes in society, we hear the two being used. We hear the term strong, independent Black woman and angry Black woman being used interchangeably, and they tend to mean something negative. And so I wanted to provide a definition that I'm going to be referring to throughout this episode. So what I have is a strong Black woman who is independent in regards to all aspects of her life. She is the caregiver, the leader, and she is outspoken. She can make decisions for herself and is grounded in her worth as a Black woman. However, as a Black woman, she experiences extra mistreatments within her society that causes a hardening to her personality, not because she is mean or because she is angry, but because she is put in a position where she needs to protect herself and because she is tired. She has been removed from her feminine energy and now is placed into the masculine energy. Oftentimes, independent Black woman is not in a relationship and is left to play the role for both herself and her children if she has any. You might know an independent Black woman who is in a relationship, but oftentimes it might be a challenging relationship for them to be in or for their partner to be in with them because they are struggling to receive certain things. And we're going to talk about that a little bit in the episode later on. But that was the definition that I came up with based off of my lived experiences, conversations that I've had with other Black women, and just the messages that I've received from society as a Black woman, and just an observation. And I feel like because we live in a society where Black women, but more specifically dark-skinned Black women, where they're sitting at the bottom of the totem pole, they're told, including myself, we are told from a very young age that we're not allowed to be vulnerable. We need to be strong all the time, and we have to work twice as hard to be half as good. And going back to those definitions that I referred to from the beginning, where we talked about masculinity being associated with working hard, not necessarily being emotionally available, that is where we start pulling young Black girls out of their femininity so early on in life, because we're teaching them that they have to embrace and embody this masculine energy in order to quote unquote survive or make it through this world. I feel like there is a huge difference between femininity for women who are dark skinned and women who are not in American society. And so the messages that I see as a darker skinned Black woman in the US are as followed. There's a message specifically for white and light skinned women, and that is that it's okay to be feminine and live in your feminine energy. You get to be soft. You can show your emotions. You can cry. You don't have to work twice as hard. You can voice your opinions, your feelings, and your concerns. Not too much, though, because we still have misogyny. That's a problem still. There are traits that a white woman gets to have that is considered more attractive. They are allowed to be soft. They can make mistakes. You can ask for help, and you get to be vulnerable. Whereas a woman of color, and more specifically darker skin tone women, we're taught that you have to work twice as hard to be half as good. You don't get to show anybody your emotions because it's deemed as a weakness and it will be used against you. And when you stand on something or when you speak up for yourself, it's oftentimes going to be dismissed, and it's going to be associated with you being an angry Black woman and that independent Black woman theology. When in reality, we're simply just standing on business. We're standing up for ourselves. We're voicing opinions and concerns that are valid. There's no need for us to be angry, but now what happens is that we become frustrated because people are minimizing our voice and labeling it as, oh, she's mad all the time, why is she so rude, etc. I was taught from a young age that I wasn't allowed to tap into my feminism or my femininity, at least not in the ways that other women from different races and skin tones are able to. I was taught from a young age that I'm not able to tap into my femininity in many ways that women who are light-skinned or who are white are able to. And now we perpetuate this teaching of I have to work twice as hard to be half as good. I can't show my feelings. I need to be strong all the time just to make it through or to survive. You have now pulled me out of my feminine energy. You have placed me into the masculine energy. You have placed me into survival mode, because the thought process is the only way that I'll be able to make it in this world, become successful in this world as a Black woman, is if I harden myself, harden my personality to get to where I want to be. And now that I have this instilled in my mind, when it's time for me to start looking for a partner, when I'm ready to be in a relationship, I am deemed less desirable because I'm not living and embodying my feminine energy. I'm more like the partner that I am looking for and not their counterpart, not their partner, their piece of the puzzle that is supposed to fit with them. And so it can make it very hard for Black women, especially dark-skinned Black women, to get wifed up because they're living in that masculine energy. If you know a Black woman, love a Black woman, or you yourself are a Black woman, show them or yourself some love. Being a Black woman is an amazing thing, but it's also a very hard thing to do, especially here in the US where I live. Very oftentimes, we are considered angry and we are tired of being strong all the time and not really having a place where we get to be our vulnerable selves. And so I just want to take a moment to put this out there and say, if you come across a Black woman who appears to be angry or frustrated, try not to take it personally. Instead, take a moment to understand that there is so much weight being bared on their shoulders and that they're tired and frustrated with always being associated with negativity, always being associated with anger, and they're just tired of the societal expectations that are placed upon them. I was watching this video where it was a group of black women who were talking essentially about the difference between how white and light skinned women get to behave in their femininity versus dark skinned women. And there was one woman who said, "We just want the same privileges afforded to us that are afforded to women who are of a different complexion or a different race." And I wholeheartedly felt that. I love being a black woman. I love who I am. I just want to have the same privileges that my counterparts have as well. And so I just want to take this moment to really remind all my black women who are listening to love yourself and remind yourself that it's okay for you to be vulnerable. And if you know a black woman and you love a black woman, provide a space where they're able to let down that armor and really just be vulnerable and be human, be feminine. Take a moment to step outside of the noise that's in the outside world and be who they want to be. Give them the opportunity to step away from that masculine energy, even if it's for a moment, and I promise you they will greatly appreciate it. And to all my black women who are listening, you are loved, you are cherished, you are beautiful, and you deserve a space where you can be yourself, where you can let down the armor and you don't have to be masculine. And I hope that you find a place where you can do that. You can find a person who will allow you to do that. And I hope that the podcast episode makes you feel a bit more heard and seen. And hopefully this will be a place where you can do that as well. I have spent pretty much my entire life living in my masculine energy, and it has made it hard to date, and it still makes it hard to date. I'm in the process now where I'm aware of what masculine energy and feminine energy are, the difference between the two, and which one I'm leaning towards, and I 110% can say that I lean towards my masculine energy a lot. I am so used to doing things for myself. I'm so used to holding in my feelings and not being vulnerable. I'm so used to working twice as hard. And so when I step out into the world and I'm looking for my ideal partner, I now acknowledge how difficult it is for me to achieve and receive the relationship that I'm looking for, because I still have these barriers up and I'm not yet in my feminine energy as much as I would want to be. And I want to take a moment to just talk about my ideal partner and what that looks like. And I think this will be helpful for people as we continue on the episode, and as I give the tips and advice that I have to help you achieve and put yourself out there towards the relationship that you're looking for. So my ideal partner is, this is a pretty decent list, is someone who is invested in their faith in God and has God at the center of his life. It is somebody who is vulnerable. Vulnerability is extremely important for me because I want to be with somebody who is strong and operates in their masculine energy, yes, but also has the ability to let go of that for a moment and share their feelings, allow me to share their feelings and respond to that. I think that that's really important for me. I want a man that knows it's okay to cry, it's okay to share their feelings, and that I can be a person that they can go to for that. I want somebody to be there for me and that I can be there for. I want somebody who is excellent with their communication skills, not only verbally communicating things with me, but also making sure that there's somebody who can actively listen as well. I want someone who is trustworthy and honest. I want somebody who is gentle towards himself, towards myself, towards our future kids, and towards others. I want somebody who can lead me. This is extremely important for me because up until the point where I finally meet my ideal partner, I am leading myself along the way. And that's not to say that once my ideal partner shows up, I'm going to just let him do whatever with my life. But no, what I mean by that is like, I don't want to have to keep working this hard. I want to be able to know that my partner has got my back. And if I need a moment to take a break and I need somebody else to pick up my portion of the work, they're able to do that. I want somebody who can teach me new things and assist me in my growth as a person, as a partner, as a mother when that time is right. Do not rush that on myself. And as a wife. And I want somebody who I know will never hurt me physically, mentally, and emotionally, especially somebody who's not going to hurt me with intention. Sometimes we hurt people that we love unintentionally, and that's the biggest thing for me. Please don't hurt me with intention. These are some of the things that I'm looking for in my ideal partner. And I have the awareness to know that right now, the state in which I am living in and the energy that I'm living in, I cannot receive this relationship because I won't be able to receive certain things that I'm asking for, like a partner who is vulnerable. I will not be able to receive somebody who can lead me because I have not yet learned to let go of having to do everything for myself. I have not yet learned that it's okay to be vulnerable. And so the worst thing that could ever happen is that when the time comes, God will present me with the partner that He has created for me. And I still haven't worked on these things. And now I fumbled the bag because I got it too early and I didn't work on these things. So I'm sure you're like, okay, we get it. Like we know what your ideal partner is, and we know that we have some things that we need to work on to be able to receive that. How do we get there? Like, what's the thesis? And so I just want to say that my best piece of advice is going to be to work on yourself. And I know that that sounds so cliche and so played out, but it is true. You need to work on the characteristics that you have that you know are holding you back from that ideal partner, and you know are holding you back from being an ideal partner. That for me was like I wouldn't say a hard pill to swallow. I always say like more like a medium pill to swallow, because on the one hand, we all like to assume like we're doing the best that we can and we have good intentions and stuff, so it can be a little challenging to hear like, girl, like you need to work on X, Y, Z, 1, 2, and 3 before you can receive the relationship that you're looking for. But I'm grateful to have the awareness to know that I'm not where I want to be in terms of being the ideal partner I aspire to be, and that's okay, and knowing that there's a process on working on myself to get to that point. So here are some of the things that I'm still working on to achieve the relationship that I'm looking for, to become the ideal partner I aspire to be, and to receive the ideal partner that I want and deserve to have. And so number one is identifying where I'm at. Take inventory. What are some attributes that you have that make you a good partner? What are some attributes that you know you don't want in a partner that you have? For example, I know that I have good communication skills, and that is an attribute that I want in my partner. That is an attribute that makes me a good partner. But I find it difficult to trust people with my feelings and my thoughts. And so I need to work on trust and vulnerability. That is something that I want from a partner. I want my partner to trust me and be vulnerable with me. But if I cannot do that with them, how can I receive that from someone else? So that's like one of the things that I know about me that is clashing with the ideal partner that I'm looking for. So the second thing is identify what it is that you want in a partner. This is something that's important in my opinion. I'm sorry if y'all can hear the train, but this is something that is important in my opinion for you to do, because if you don't know what it is that you want in a partner, you're going to waste so much time trying to find out what it is that you want in a partner. You're going to do a lot of trial and error. You're going to mess around with a lot of people, and you're going to waste a lot of time. So take a moment to understand what characteristics and attributes it is that you want in a partner, and what it is that you know you don't want in a partner. Number 3, identify the gaps. Based on where you are and where you want to be, what are the gaps? If I want to be with somebody who is vulnerable, but I cannot be vulnerable by myself, with my friends or with loved ones, that's a gap for me that I need to close. I need to be able to learn how to be vulnerable with my feelings, with my thoughts, with my emotions, so that when I have my ideal partner, this is not something that we're struggling with, so that they don't feel like, well, she never comes to me with anything emotion wise. Like she's a strong person, and that's great, but like I want her to know that if things aren't always good, or if she needs a second to not be strong, she can do that too. So take a moment to understand where you are and where you want to be, and start closing those gaps. What action steps can you take? What characteristics do you need to work on to close the gaps so that you can get closer to the ideal partner that you strive to be, so that you can attract the ideal partner that you want to have? Number 4 is to start living in it. Start developing and living in the attributes and the characteristics that you want to have in a partner and that you want to be. Stay focused on your own character development first, so that when God presents you with your partner, you will be ready to receive them. Like I said earlier, the worst thing that can happen is that God presents you with the person that you're supposed to be with, and you fumbled a bag because you received it too early and you didn't work on your character development. If you're allowed the chance to have a second chance and to rebuild that relationship, you might have a second opportunity, but we're not always guaranteed a second opportunity. So you want to take the time to really work on yourself and work on your character development, so that when that partner is in front of you, you can receive them, and you don't have to live with regret, and you don't have to live with despair, knowing that you might have messed up the best thing that could have happened if you didn't take that time to work on yourself and to work on that pain and those traumas that you had. Number 5, while you're working on yourself, this is just a tip. This is not part of the checklist necessarily, but while you're working on yourself, keep that list of what an ideal partner is for you at the back of your mind. Once you start working on yourself and you start building up to that character that you aspire to be, you're going to start seeing people pop up out the woodworks, and you're going to start seeing people coming to you with the proposition of trying to be your partner. And this is where you really need to have that discernment and that understanding of what is counterfeit, what is fake, what is not what you're looking for. If you don't keep that checklist in the back of your head, you're going to be like, this might actually be my God-sent partner. This might actually be the partner from the universe, from my religion. This might be the person for me. And you enter a relationship with them, but because you weren't able to spot the counterfeit, you've now wasted time with this person, because on paper, they looked great. They looked like everything that you wanted them to be. But now that you're in this relationship with them, you're doing the work with them, you're like, man, you done played me. It's like what I ordered online versus what I got. And so it's important for you to understand, like, nah, like you have 5 of the 7 things that I want counterfeit. What is for you will be for you, and you won't have to settle. You won't have to cross certain things off the list. Personality wise, listen, man, my ideal partner would be 6'5", dark skin with tattoos and physically fit, and would be all these things. Listen, I'm okay if I don't get 6'5" and I don't get tattoos. That's fine. But everything on the personality trait that I listed to you earlier, they need to be all of those things. I'm not settling for less. I'm not like, okay, you're like 6 out of the 7. Let me go. No. My ideal partner, the partner that God has created for me, will have all of those things on the list, and probably more things that I didn't even think about. So keep that list in the back of your mind so you can spot the counterfeits, you can dub the counterfeits, and also so that you're not wasting your time, so you're protecting yourself and your energy. When you start doing good, the enemy, the universe, however you want to phrase it, they're going to start throwing things in your way, throwing curveballs in your way to get you off that path. But if you're ready and you have that sort of shield to be like, nah, I know that's not for me, you're going to be straight. You're going to be chilling. And number 6, this is for my people who believe in God or who have some sort of religious affiliation. If you don't, that's perfectly okay. But number 6 is to make time for God. This is something that I'm definitely still working on. I'm not preaching out here like all I do is read my Bible and go to church and do what I'm supposed to do. Now, like there's definitely still room for improvement on this one, but I try to make time for God. And I think that this is important because you need to understand the difference between His voice and your desires. When you know His voice and when you understand His voice, things will be so much clearer and it'll protect you from heartache. When you lean towards your desires versus his voice, you're going to be steered on the wrong path, and you're going to be more likely to encounter those counterfeits and go with them, because you're like, oh my gosh, like they meet like 7 out of the 10 requirements and they look good and whatever, and that's your desire. But his voice is like, nah sis, that ain't the one for you. Just give it some time. I know we've been waiting like 2, 3, 4, 5 whatever years. Just give it some more time. I promise you the wait will be worth the while. And so take that moment and make that space to be able to understand his voice, understand his desires for you and your life and the type of partner that you want to have. It'll save you so much heartache. It'll save you so much time. But know that understanding and knowing God's voice will take time, and it will be difficult. For somebody like myself who didn't really grow up in the church and who didn't really grow up with a heavy religious affiliation, this is something that I'm building up towards. And there will be moments where you're like, I don't know what God's voice is. I don't know what it sounds like. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. You may not actually hear a voice. You may feel in your body like this is the right decision to make, or this is the wrong decision to make. Trust that feeling. 9 times out of 10, God is steering you in the direction that you're supposed to be in with that feeling, if you haven't necessarily made room for his voice. And I can personally say that I have felt that, and that has protected me from some people, and that I have also learned my lesson where I had that feeling and I didn't necessarily listen to it, and so I put myself through a lot more pain and heartache than I should have had I just listened to the feeling and listened to the voice or the message that God was trying to send me. We're at the point of the episode where we have reached the affirmation for this week. So I actually have 2 of them. They could be a bit more general, but I have tailored one to be a bit more general and the other one to be specifically for my Black women for this episode. And so I'm not going to repeat them both 3 times. I'm going to repeat them probably once and make the differentiation between the 2. So the general affirmation for this episode is, I am ready to release the energy that is keeping me from my ideal partner and work on myself to become an ideal partner. I'm just going to repeat this one more time. If you have the ability to close your eyes, you can do that. If you want to write this one down, however you want to speak this upon yourself, find that way to do it. And so here it is. I am ready to release the energy that is keeping me from my ideal partner and work on myself to become an ideal partner. And the affirmation that I have for my Black women, again, this can probably be generalized, but I'm giving this one specifically to my Black women that are listening, is, I am strong, but I also know it's okay to not always be strong. I give myself permission to embrace my feminine energy. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat that. If you have the ability to close your eyes, close your eyes. If you want to write this down, however you want to speak this upon your life, find a way that works for you. And so, I am strong, but I also know that it's okay to not always be strong. I give myself permission to embrace my feminine energy. And I'm going to do it one more time because I love this one. I am strong, but I also know that it's okay to not always be strong. I give myself permission to embrace my feminine energy. All right, that's all that I have for you today. This one's a bit shorter, and I kind of like that. I kind of like that flow. Let me know what y'all think. Do y'all like the hour-long episodes, or do you like that I'm keeping it a little bit under that time? Let me know what you thought about today's episode. And again, shout out to all my Black women. Shout out to all my Black people, but really today I want to focus on my Black women. You are strong. You are beautiful. It's okay to not always be strong. You can be vulnerable. It's okay to be vulnerable. If you know a Black woman, if you love a Black woman, show them some love. If you are a Black woman, show yourself some love today. every day be gentle with yourself. I know that it's challenging and I know that it's hard, but you are worthy and you are loved. And so that's all I have for y'all today. You can follow us on YouTube at the Hood Soft Life Podcast, Spotify, same thing. Apple Podcast, I'm praying, will be up by the time I post this, which will also be at the Hood Soft Life Podcast. And then we have an IG and a TikTok, both at the Thehslpod. You can find us on those platforms, and I'm going to catch you on the next one. Bye.